Hello and welcome. In this lecture, we will continue with our lectures on company law. We had so far completed up to section 108, which was about e-voting. Going forward, in this particular edition of the lectures, we will be doing section 109, which would speak about demand of poll or demand for poll. Now, as I told you, the first method of voting would normally be show of hands, and the company may or company will have to give the facility of e-voting in some prescribed class of companies. Apart from that, in the meeting itself, after show of hands, the members in the meeting, members attending in the meeting may demand for poll. So the provisions of demand for poll is covered under section 109. Let us understand about section 109. First of all, who can demand poll? The first topic that we will understand is who can demand poll. So in the introduction, I have told you that members can demand poll. Members can demand for poll. But we have to understand what is the number of members which is required to demand for the poll. Let us understand it with the help of this chart. So you see, in case the company is a company with share capital, then the number of members present in person or proxy were allowed. That means the members shall be in person or in proxy present at the meeting, and such number of members shall not be having less than 1/10 of the total voting power. Total voting power. Or they must be holding shares in aggregate of value of not less than 5 lakh rupees. How much? 5 lakh rupees. Or such higher amount as has been prescribed in the rules or regulations. Okay. So who can demand poll in case of a company with share capital? Company with share capital, it will be the person or proxy present at the meeting, which who has not less than 1/10 of total voting power, or is holding shares in aggregate of not less than 5 lakh rupees. Means 5 lakh rupees or more. Okay. Or such a higher amount as may have been prescribed has been paid up. So I hope you have understood this first concept, that if the company is having a share capital, how many number of members, or what is the eligibility of the members to demand for poll. So any person cannot stand up and say, I want a poll. You will require to fulfill this condition or this eligibility to demand for poll. Okay. Now in case of any other company, this was for a company with share capital. In case of any other company, that means a company which does not have a share capital, that means a company which is a guarantee company. In that case, such member or members present in person or proxy who have not less than 1/10 of voting power in the company. 1/10 of voting power in the company. So 1/10 is the keyword over here, or 1/10 is the eligibility criteria over here. In case the company is having share capital, then 1/10 of the voting power, or paid up share capital, total aggregate paid up share capital. Aggregate means what? What do you mean by aggregate? Aggregate means in case say there are 100 people or 100 members who are demanding for poll, their aggregate share capital shall not be less than 5 lakh rupees, not an individual person's share capital. Aggregate share capital. That means if there are 100 members who are demanding for poll, the aggregate share capital of such 100 members shall not be less than 5 lakh rupees. Okay. Similarly, if the company is a company which is not having share capital, in that case, it will be on the basis of voting power. Only voting power, which shall be at least 1/10. So I hope this is clear to you. Now, this was about eligibility. Also remember, in case a person demands for a poll, this is an important point. This can come for case study. If a person demands for a poll, demands for person or persons, that means members, demand for poll, then only those persons or those members who have made the demand may withdraw the demand for poll. They may withdraw the demand for poll at any time before the polling is completed. Okay, this part is clear. Now, poll may be demanded for two reasons. First may be for adjournment purposes or for any other matter, any other business matter. Okay. Now, in case it is for adjournment, then in that case, the chairman shall conduct such poll immediately at the meeting itself. At the meeting itself. So it is for, if it is for adjournment, we have understood what is adjournment in the earlier lectures of meetings. Now over here, if some members in the meeting stand up and say that the remaining or balance business matters needs to be conducted in a separate meeting, which shall be in the adjourned meeting, and hence they request for a demand for poll. In that case, the chairman can or chairman shall conduct the poll immediately at the meeting itself. Secondly, if it is for any other matter, then the chairman shall take such poll within 48 hours, from the time when the demand was made. From the time when the demand was made. So I hope this point is also clear to you. So we have now seen two concepts. First concept was who can demand for poll. It is the members. And then we had bifurcated it into two: share company having share capital and any other company. Okay. Then the second concept that we have seen is that in case of poll for adjournment of the meeting, the chairman shall immediately or forthwith conduct the poll. In case of any other matter, the poll shall be conducted within 48 hours from the time when the demand was made. And this also will be done by the chairman itself. Okay, this much is clear. Now the next point is, when the poll is taken, the poll will be regulated by the poll shall be regulated by the chairman of the meeting. Chairman of the meeting. And for this purpose, the chairman may appoint or shall appoint, shall appoint a scrutinizer. Okay. So the same way in which we had seen in e-voting process, over here in polling process also, the chairman will appoint an scrutinizer. Okay. This scrutinizer will be observing the poll process. Observing the poll process and votes given in the poll. Okay. And his job will be primarily to report the result of the poll to the chairman, and this will be in form MGT 13. Okay, form MGT 13. So I hope you have understood the role of scrutinizer over here. Since we had already discussed a lot of things about scrutinizer, so this makes the process much more simpler for us. Okay. Now, what are the duties of the scrutinizer? Duties of the scrutinizer. This also we had already majorly discussed in our e-voting lecture, but to repeat it over here, to ensure proper conduct of the poll. Proper conduct of poll. Second is to maintain proper records. Proper records of the poll. Third is to submit the report of the poll. Submit a report of the poll to chairman. In which form? Form MGT 13. Okay, this much is clear. And to ensure compliance of provisions of the section 109. Section 109, which we are doing in this particular lecture. Okay. And there is a rule 21 also which has to be complied with. If you do not remember rule 21, it is okay. Try to remember section 109 or at least remember the concept. If you write the concept also, you'll get marks. But if you write the section, that will be an additional brownie point or an impression on the examiner. Okay. So the complete procedure is regulated by the chairman itself. Similarly, the chairman of the meeting shall ensure scrutinizers are provided with the register of members. Specimen signatures of the members, attendance register, and all this required identification for the conduct of the poll. Okay, this is the responsibility of the chairman. Okay, now the scrutinizers are provided with all the documents received by the company. All the documents received by the company, even under section 105, which is about proxy. 112, which we will discuss about representatives 112 and 113, representatives of the company or representatives of the government or governor. So we will go through that also separately in a separate lecture. But now coming back to section 109, the scrutinizer shall arrange for the polling papers and distribute them to the members and proxies. Scrutinizer on receipt of these documents will distribute the polling papers to members attending the meeting having voting rights or their proxy In case of joint shareholding, the person whose name, the shareholder whose name is first in order will be given the polling paper. He will have the voting rights. We had discussed this already in one of my previous lectures. So the scrutinizer, once he has distributed the polling paper, it shall be maintained in form MGT 12. Shall be maintained in form MGT 12. The scrutinizer shall also keep a record of the polling papers received by initialing it. All the polling papers received shall be initialed by the scrutinizer themselves. Okay, and then they shall lock and seal an empty polling box in the presence of empty polling box in the presence of at least two witnesses. Okay, so I hope this is also clear to all of you. You're able to understand the process. Next, after the lock-in, for the counting purpose, the scrutinizer shall open the box, the polling box, again in the presence of at least two witnesses. Okay, this will happen only after the voting process is over. Voting process is over, then shall open the box. Okay, this part is also clear. Now, the scrutinizer shall ensure that if a member has appointed a proxy and voted in person, then the proxy's vote shall be disregarded. This is the topic that we had already done in the proxy chapter, that if the original member does come in the meeting and votes himself before the vote has been put by the proxy, then the proxy's vote will be disregarded and the member's vote will be accepted. Okay. Now, after doing this whole process, the scrutinizer shall do the counting of the votes. In favor and against, and finally prepare the report, which shall be submitted to the chairman. Also, the voting which has been done through the electronic means, that vote shall also be added to the vote which has been, or the poll which has been actually done in the meeting. And a consolidated, if you remember, in e-voting lecture also I had confirmed this thing. A consolidated voting report shall be given to the chairman. Okay, this is clear. Now, once the report is submitted to the chairman, then it will be the duty of the chairman to announce the results of the voting by poll. So this is how the process of voting by poll will conclude. Okay. So I hope you have understood this whole thing. Let me summarize once again. The first type of voting which is done is normally voting by show of hands. A set of members who are eligible may demand for poll. This set of members who are eligible is divided into two: a company with share capital or a company without share capital. In case of with share capital, the member or the group of members shall be having at least 1/10 of the voting powers, or shall be having aggregate share capital of not less than 5 lakh rupees, or such higher amount as may have been prescribed. Okay. In case of company not having share capital, it will be not less than 1/10 of the voting power. So this was about eligibility. Then we discussed, if a person demands for a poll or a group of members demand for a poll, only they can withdraw that poll. So that facility is also provided in the section 109 itself. Next, we had discussed, if the poll is for adjournment, then the chairman shall hold the poll immediately in the same meeting. Apart from that, chairman shall appoint an scrutinizer to conduct this process of poll. Such scrutinizer who has been appointed shall be observing the poll process and votes given in the poll. The duties of the scrutinizer also we had discussed in this particular section itself, as well as what is the facilities that the chairman shall ensure that the scrutinizer is provided for ensuring that the poll is conducted properly, which is the register of members, the specimen signatures, the attendance registers shall be provided to the scrutinizer. Accordingly, after every document that has been received by the scrutinizer, he shall be distributing the polling papers to the members. And the members would then cast their votes in the poll. Once that is completed, the scrutinizer will count the votes. When the scrutinizer counts the votes through the poll, he would also be adding the votes that have been cast through electronic mode, that is electronic voting, remote electronic voting. And when the scrutinizer will make the report, that is a scrutinizer's report, he will be preparing an consolidated scrutinizer's report and submitting it to the chairman in MJT 13. Once the MJT 13, which is the report of scrutinizer, is received by the chairman will then announce the result of the poll. I hope this whole process is clear to you and you have understood the provisions of section 109 and rule 21, which we have done in this particular edition. So if you have understood the provisions in this lecture, then do like the video and share it with maximum of your friends. Also, if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, do subscribe to the channel, because I will be coming up with the rest of the provisions also very soon. Thanks a lot.